starting a little bit early today, just because I'm trying a new setup. And I have a new mic, and the laptop is working, I guess. So if it doesn't cut out today, then we'll have a recording for YouTube. Huzzah! And it's going to be awesome, so you guys will be able to, if you miss the live streams, I can email them to you now, if you're a part of the Tarot and Tea newsletter. If you picked up your phone, I have a new mic and the laptop. Huzzah! Yay! Huzzah! Checking the side, making sure it works. Yes, it is. Huzzah! Internet is just freaking out because I'm trying to watch it at the same time. So if you do show up at any time, feel free to say hello. We're going to get started in a couple minutes. We're going to give it a second just to let people arrive. I also hear my little one in the background. She's waking up. So if you hear, that's her. Cool, recording is still going. Great, so today we are going to delve into your intuition. We're going to start working with what it means to read intuitively, how to intuitively ask questions about your magic and for your readings. And we're going to go into how to intuitively read tarot cards, because that is the funnest thing. That's the best thing ever. So let me see. Real quick. Yes, and again, I'm going to start sending out replays of the live streams. So if you are not a part of the Tarot and Tea Facebook group newsletter, you get a free gift. Check the pinned post on the page, and you'll get free presents. They're my tarot journal inserts that I have made especially for helping you read tarot intuitively. So, and I apologize for the glare in my glasses. I can't help that. So, what I mean using your intuition when it comes to tarot reading. Basically, I want you to tap into your first impressions and the first things that come across for you when it comes to anything magical, anything that you learn, trusting your inner instinct. And this is so important because nowadays we have a bad habit of ignoring that. We have a bad habit of putting our self-preservation last. So if you end up in a job that is really, crap, and bad things keep happening to you, and you kind of get the iffy feeling, I shouldn't be here anymore, but you stay because of the money, it's a valid reason, but at the same time, your intuition is screaming at you, it's time to leave. These things are happening for a reason. Same thing with relationships. Or anything everyday life, you just get this thought that pops in your head, like maybe I shouldn't do that, or maybe I should try this. And it's your intuition speaking to you. And that's also how your guides speak to you, is through your intuition. They pop the thoughts up in your head. And so tapping into this for tarot reading, for magic, is actually very easy. But the hardest thing to get over is starting to listen to yourself. And that's where people really have issues, because they're so afraid of being wrong. And they've been taught over and over and over again that there are right and wrong answers when it comes to tarot readings, and that's just not true. There's general archetypes and general characterizations for each card and stereotypes and things like that. You get the gist, but because we're all so different and we have different viewpoints, deal with different things in our lives, we come up with different meanings for the cards. So, as I've said quite a few times, if you watch any of my other videos on YouTube or just if you talk to me about Tarot, I can't stand the King of Wands. And it's because, well, the King of Wands specifically in the Witch's Tarot, because he has the snarkiest looking smirk on his face, and it makes me want to punch him in the face. Even though that card is supposed to be, he's very passionate and he has a fiery personality and he's warm and he's welcoming. I'm not getting that. I'm getting, I don't trust you. I get the reverse side. So that's just my interpretation of it. And that's my intuition telling me, you don't like the King of Wands. That smile says something. You've dealt with that smile before in your life and you don't care for it. So because I listened to that, then when that card comes up in a reading, I'm like, okay. Now I completely understand. I know exactly what kind of person we're dealing with here because I can't stand them. So first, intuitively asking questions. Okay, so with everyday life, it's getting to the heart of what you really want to know. There's a difference between when, where, why, and how I'm going to meet the love of my life, and what steps can I take in order to attract the right person for me. That's a much better question to ask because you're opening it up more. If you ask when, where, what, why, how, you're expecting on a spring day a red balloon is going to pass in front of your face and a flower is going to fall and on the sidewalk and you bend to pick it up and look up and there's his eyes. They're going to be smoky blue. You're expecting that. And that's not... Some people believe that tarot can do that, and I'm one of those people. No, that is way too specific. Because if that doesn't happen and it's not a red balloon, it's a blue balloon, you're not going to think you're going to meet him that day. And he's going to walk right by you. You need to open up the possibilities for yourself. So instead, by saying, what steps can I take to attract a loving, committed relationship, that's better. You are taking responsibility for the question. You're not saying, should I do this, should I do that? No. It's not the reader's problem or the card's problem what you want to do. It's yours, so take responsibility for it. And then also, it's not like I said, you're not limiting yourself. Just because you want a tall, dark, handsome guy doesn't mean that there's not a dark, handsome guy that's a little bit shorter than you thought isn't going to be the one for you. You know what I mean? You need to open things up. Billy might not ask you to the prom, but Jimmy might. You get him? You're really cutting off your future there if you're not going to accept any other answer than this specific person. So, intuitively asking questions when it comes to your magic practice, instead of like, I need a love spell. I'm Googling for a love spell and I can't find any that don't match what I want. Think to yourself, what specifically am I looking for? Am I looking for something because I want to attract general love into my life? Am I thinking about someone specifically? Are they with somebody else? And that's what I'm having an issue with, is I want them, but they're taken. You gotta figure it out. This also stops the problem for spells like that to be really manipulative, because that's my main problem, which we'll probably go into for like a little mini workshop or series, is dealing with love spells and how you are controlling somebody else if you try to cast them on someone else. So if you just want a relationship that you come home to and you feel fantastic about, that's what you're really looking for. In your present mind, you're thinking, oh, it's Billy Bob 2 doors down. It has to be him. But the back of your mind is just like, I just want somebody to care. I just want somebody to love me. So that's what you're really looking for. And you're going to train yourself to listen to your intuition for magic, tarot, and everything else. Because once you do one area, it spreads all over. It goes to every area that you have in your life. So, easiest thing that I started doing was writing down the question that I had, journaling about it, figuring out this is what I feel about the situation, and just pour it out. everything I'm feeling, all my thoughts, even if they're mean, if they're battering myself, if they're really happy, it doesn't matter. I journal it out and I think about it. Because then that allows me to take a moment to dig down, look at, the keywords of the question, um, and figure out, okay, this is what's going on. This is what I really want to know. So, for example, when I was having my first child, I was terrified of labor because I didn't know what to expect. And I'm a planner and I want to plan ahead. I made sure I had everything. And only thing that I couldn't plan for was the pain aspect. I don't like being in pain. Pain terrifies me. And that's because every situation that I've been in my life, that I've been in pain, a physical pain, like, there was a humiliation factor about it, and I didn't want that. I wasn't afraid of, pooping on the doctor. I wasn't afraid of tears. I wasn't afraid of C-section, any of that. I was just focused on how is my body going to react. So I tried asking my cards how labor would go. And it was really snarky. And it told me, we'll see, won't we? Pretty much what the spread says. It's like, you'll have to wait and see. And it's like, well, duh. And looking back, I'm like, if I had really summed down that question, and it's like, how will I be able to handle pain during labor? It would have been much better. Like, what steps can I take to ensure that labor pains will be easier for me? Or that it will be more bearable? What obstacles or events may happen that will cause me issues to increase my labor pain and stress? Looking back now, that would have been definitely a question. I would have known it because there were a lot of things that happened that were really stressful. And it made me feel out of control of the situation. So what I really wanted was control. Being able to decide how I gave birth. Take it at my own pace, so I should have asked the cards that. And of course, hindsight is 20/20, but it's a great way to see, okay, this is what I really wanted. How can I phrase this so the cards can give me the best advice instead of, well, it looks like we'll have to see. I also discovered this not just with cards, but with my pendulum. And, sorry, fixing my shirt. I had, after the birth, another pregnancy scare. Thought I was pregnant. And I thought, okay, pendulums, because I was still learning how to use my pendulum, are great for telling you things that you don't know about your body. And they can sense your energy, which makes them very easy to use. So we need to figure this out. I asked my pendulum, am I pregnant? And it stood still, which for my pendulum means it doesn't know what the hell I'm asking it. It's like, okay, is there a baby in my uterus? And I got very specific because I was getting angry, and it kept saying, maybe, possibly, ask different. And I'm like, I don't understand how you want it differently. The problem was, with that situation, it was sensing my body had been pregnant before. There was a baby in my life. I was still breastfeeding. So there was a baby. And it was taking it more in the past. I had an egg that was fertilized and implanted into my uterine wall. And I literally said, like, did these events happen? And it said, yes. It was taking it in the past. So then when I took a pregnancy test, I was mad. I'm like, why is my pendulum not working for me? Why didn't it work? Because that is a tool that I had to be very specific with. And you can't let your emotions get in the way of it because your pendulums like to make you happy. And they go based off of what you're feeling now. So when it came to that, I had to more go at this present moment in time, am I pregnant? Or I would have had to make a board, which I've made pendulum boards I've shown you, with the different percentages of chances of on the board, and I would have been like, what percentage chance am I pregnant right now? And then it would have chosen, because it would have been easier for it to figure it out, what I wanted to know. It's all about the phrasing and trying to figure it out. But that's also the difference, is tarot helps you get the when, what, where, why, how, with all the different symbols. Pendulums can be very finicky and can be very particular with how you talk to them. So you can get misleading information if you aren't very specific, whereas tarot, the more specific you get sometimes, the more limited you get yourself. So, but you all have to go off of your intuition. You have to realize, you have to go through this process in your brain where it's like, okay, this is what needs to happen, what's going on. So, and it's the same way when it comes to magic. That's why this week I wanted you to talk about different mythologies that you're interested in. Research them, things like that. Because the more knowledge you have, like I was explaining yesterday actually to someone over on a random, the more knowledge you have in your head, the easier it is for you to relate things to tarot, relate things to your magical practice, things like that. Because if, for example, you have a white tea light candle, it's the most basic thing you can have. But if you know things about candle making process and the temperature and how long it was sitting for, that's going to play into effect. If you know things about the moon cycle, when it was made, the day of the week, things like that. If you said a little prayer while you were making it, if you physically made it, that's going to change it. If you put herbs in there and you know the correspondences for those herbs, that's going to change it. If you're working with a deity that likes white, or if you're working with angels, that's going to change it. And so all these different things with them, from a simple little white candle, can really change because it depends on what you know. So like, I wanted to go through a couple of my cards here to give you some information for like, if I were intuitively reading, the knowledge that I would bring in to these cards. So like, first, I'm using the Witch's Tarot today. I have the moon. So, lady walking through the woods, there's wolves, it's dark, it's cloudy, it's a waning moon, and all of that. The book describes this as the crone because of the waning moon. Okay, cool. It also mentions Hecate. Okay, I can see that. And it also mentions the crone. Okay, so just intuitively though, it's making it seem like what you see in the dark doesn't always look the same in the light, because I bet during the day this scene would look incredibly different. But because it's nighttime, it looks super ominous. You think those wolves are going to attack her, but if you do relate this to Hecate, Hecate has wolf companions. So they're really watching over her. So then that's a different context. Someone might take this as a scary card, but if you really know more about why the author and the artist for Witch's Tarot chose to make this for Hecate, that really changes the meaning. So when it comes to me in a reading, I always take it more, there are some things about the situation that you would always know. So look at things from a different light, from a third person perspective, because it's going to change everything for you. So another one for intuitive would be the Magician. And I'm just pulling cards off the deck. So the Magician, when I think of the Magician, I think of the CEO that started from nowhere. I think of the professor who is a master of his field, and he's teaching a lesson. He's giving a demonstration. You want to really put into a modern context, Bill Nye the Science Guy at a science fair. How he would show you the different things that science can do. Because the magician is the master of the physical. So he has all of his tools, he has his altar, and he's working his magic physically. That makes sense for me, because it's like, okay, I need to physically do something. I want to have tangible things in my hands. I want to work with things. So this would scream to me someone who wants a mentor, or aspires to be this, or is this, but they're not living up to their potential. And then reversed, they're a bit arrogant. They think they know everything, but they really have more to learn, and they're more the student than they are the mentor. Something like that. And that's just going off of images that come to mind for me with a card, which can make it so much easier. So another thing that I like to also bring in, as I've mentioned before, a lot of tarot is based off of Shakespearean plays. So for me, because I'm a director, I'm an actor, I have specialties in characterization and everything like that. I really see the cards each as scenes of snapshots of these different characters' lives. I really bring in archetypes and intention and motivation and things like that. If I were to make this a scene and this was a character, what would be happening right now? So that's why tarot was awesome for me as a divination method. I bring in that background. So I'm going to take card reading differently than somebody else because I'm seeing it from a theatrical perspective. Because our life is like theater. Theater originally it's about real life. We have plays about people's lives that are relatable to each other. And tarot is just little snapshot images. The major arcana deals with those huge life moments because becoming a professor or a master of your field is a huge moment. Gaining a mentor is a huge thing. Whereas something lower, like the King of Cups, you're mastered your emotions. Great. It's not quite the magician, but you're getting there. And then I automatically think the Tempest for this. I'm imagining him on the side of the cliff, like especially if this was reversed, casting the spell and causing the ship to crash, and so he can get his revenge. Something like that. That's just what screams to mind for me. So things like that. I'm bringing in my past knowledge. Another thing that I did, and I have done this with theatrical productions. So, for example, I directed The Intruder by Maurice Moiterlink. I believe that's how he pronounced it. I used death because the play is about this blind man. His daughter is sick, the baby's sick, he's getting old, and nobody knows who's going to die. Somebody by the end of the play dies. And death is in the house. So I took that whole thing on death represents a new beginning that you don't necessarily want, and you don't know who it's going to choose. Death is not always terrifying. So I turned it more into a psychological horror because I had, the grandfather sitting on the couch. He's blind, and I had a spotlight come on next to him, like someone is sitting next to him. And then he's like, somebody's in the room. He's sitting by me. No one's sitting next to you, Grandpa. I promise you something is sitting next to me. I can sense it. And something like that. Another thing that I did, I just had it in my head. But when it comes to, but you see in general what I mean. There we go. Taking in past knowledge. So, for example, I have a play concept for Dracula. But instead of Dracula being set in its original time period, which is like the 1800s, have him be a soldier of Bastet, of Sekhmet, the lioness, the Egyptian lioness of the hunt that caused the waters of the Nile to run red every year with the silt. Have him be one of her followers, and that's how he became a vampire, because the mythology behind her is Ra sent her to go on a war of mankind, saw how many people she was slaughtering and drinking their blood, and he felt bad for it, and the only way to get her to stop was the village filled the Nile with wine, and she drank it all, and she passed out for 3 days, and that's it. But every year when the Nile runs red, that's who they worship as Sekhmet. So it's very similar. I took that from card concepts. I took that from death. I took that from the Tower. Have Dracula be one of her followers. And use imagery of the moon. Things aren't always as they seem. and ideas incorporated with Egyptian mythology to create a play concept. You can do this with your everyday life, with your altar work. I know right now, especially if there are a couple people in here that are all about pop culture witchcraft. One of the biggest things for me right now is Smite. If you guys play Smite, it's free on Steam and on the PS4 and Xbox. And basically, you play as different gods in different costumes of all kinds of different pantheons, and you fight against each other. It's a war. And it's all online, so you're playing with other actual people. And whenever I think of the imagery for some of the gods, like for example, Chang'e, like I've mentioned, she's my inspiration for the Taro and T group. I think of her son's bride costume, which is very beautiful. And I think of, whenever I think of Ganesh, not Ganesha, Ganesh, the Hindu do not pronounce the vowel at the end of it unless it's followed by a consonant. It's like the French. But Ganesh, I think of his design in that game. I think of Kali not as a demon and very scary. I think of her as an assassin in that game. And it's just taking from my personal context and from my personal point of view. So I want you to explore doing that, because that background, the things you're interested in and the things you learn are going to influence it. Because I know there was a thread of a scientist on Tumblr explaining different chemicals on how you can make smoke for your cauldrons to give different effects for color magic. And I'm like, that's fantastic. He's using what he knows to make safe chemical concoctions that can be breathable and use it for magic and really get you in the moment and really make you feel it. And it's fantastic. That's a wonderful idea. And if you're into runes, you obviously like something with Norse mythology, because that's Norse. So if you're going to bring in some of that knowledge to you with everything that you do, you might pay more attention to the different gods that are throughout the week, or the different cycles of the year, what Valhalla means to you, hell, the place and the goddess. So you have all kinds of different things to draw on. I Ching, if you guys are into I Ching, I'm kind of learning very slowly. I have the coins, but the book is huge. So if you have something with Chinese mythology and divinatory systems and things like that, you're really going to draw from there. So do that and share it in the group. I'm happy to learn with you and figure out what's going on in your mind, how you relate things, because that's where your intuition kicks in, is where things that you're interested in, then you pull a card or you pull a rune and you're like, oh, it reminds me of this situation in my life. I can clearly see this situation. Or, oh, it reminds me of this thing that I saw in a movie once, and that scene perfectly describes this card for me. Or something like that. So, and that's just taking a tiny little step into reading intuitively, into doing your magic intuitively, and trusting your intuition. And if you have trouble doing that, and listening to yourself and listening to your body, I highly recommend picking up a meditative practice. So it'll help unlock it. And I don't mean sit cross-legged on the floor with incense and chimes and sit there for an hour and you don't have to do that. It's more recognize your breathing pattern for 5-10 seconds for a couple breaths. Mindfulness counts as meditation. And the longer you do it, the easier it will be to go into a trance-like state. Now, all I need is one long breath, and boom, I'm in there. You'll also get a sense of what you intuitively think about. Don't worry about clearing your brain. Don't worry about clearing, making sure you're not thinking of anything, because your mind is naturally going to think. That's why you focus on your breath, give it something to focus on, and it'll be easier for things to drift away. But do this. Do a practice. Share your findings. If you have issues with this, I'm happy to help you unlock your intuition. I have plenty of resources. I have plenty of meditations. I discovered a really cool guy on YouTube. Let me look up his name real quick. That does tapping. That really helped me the other day. Yeah. If you can hear her. As it pulls it up. Come on. Ooh, I work the magic. It worked. Loading faster. Come on. Brad Yates. There we go. And he's awesome. So look him up on YouTube if you want to try tapping. I'll share, I have a couple of articles on meditation and visualization and how to get started with it. If you guys request it, there is a really awesome, how I started learning energy sensing and visualization. There's a couple acting exercises I used to do for warm-ups for shows that I'm happy to do with you guys. We'd have to do a Google Hangout and, everybody sense the energy together. And it's really fun and it's really easy. So if people request it, I'll totally do it. So I hope you guys have an awesome rest of your Saturday. I hope you enjoyed talking a little bit about intuition with me. Like I said, because I'm recording this, it'll go out to the newsletter. It'll go up on YouTube. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel either, feel free to do that. I'm having all kinds of stuff posted up on there that I haven't shared in the group. And I haven't put on my newsletter. So